Welcome back to my studio for another look at how I podcast. Remember, this is not a how-to. I'm not going to tell you how you should do it. Instead, I'm going to show you how I podcast and broadcast and produce audio and video content. Last time I gave you a quick look at my studio, a bird's eye view, really. This time I'm going to start sharing my podcast workflow, starting with the basic hardware: microphone, mixing board, and recorder. If you survey podcasters, even those who have been doing it for a short time, and ask them what the microphone to have is, what the big man on campus of microphones is, they're surely going to say, at least among the top microphones, is the Heil PR40, made popular by such podcasting giants as Leo Laporte. And for a mere $300+ you can have one. Me, I opted for the cheaper route. Instead, I chose a less than $60 microphone that sounds almost every bit as good as that Heil PR40. At least it does to the ears of normal, everyday podcast listeners. Of course, I'm talking about the audio-technica ATR2100. This microphone sounds fantastic. I have 3 of them. And for less than $60 each, I have a high-quality dynamic microphone that can be used with either XLR or USB connections. I use the XLR in order to plug into the next piece of equipment in my audio chain, the Behringer X1204 USB mixing board. Actually, this is my second Behringer mixing board. I also have the 1204 without the FX. But I dumped a big old cup of water inside of that a couple of years ago, and I told the whole story in a video. You can watch it, put a link below. But regardless, it still works, and I have it for daisy chaining together with this other one if I need extra inputs, or use it for traveling. I'll get more specific on how I use this board in the future, but for now, know that I generally have 5 audio inputs going into the board, and then 1 output going into the next piece of equipment, which is the Tascam DR-05 digital audio recorder. This is where all the different audio channels from the mixing board end up in a 2-track stereo wave file ready for final processing in my digital audio workstation, which again, I'll cover more on an upcoming video. And that's it as far as the basic workflow for capturing audio. In fact, this is exactly what I'm using in order to record the audio for this video. On the previous 2 videos, I used a lapel mic going directly into the Tascam DR-05. I'll cover all this stuff in much more detail, so just stick with me as I continue to show you how I podcast. So click the subscribe button below, follow me, never miss a video. Use the links in the description below to learn more about the equipment which I talked about today. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at MichaelGCTN. It's right here in this corner. See that? At MichaelGCTN. That's where I am everywhere. Now, I've got to get back to show prep on 2 separate podcasts, and I'll show you how I do all that stuff as well right here on How I Podcast. Now, go produce something.